D'accord, surtout.
Voilà, c'est bon pour moi. Bah écoutez, je vous laisse la parole pour ce workshop et puis j'interviendrai à la fin.
Hi, hello. Nice to meet everybody. I'm happy to welcome you on this workshop that will be about setting up your business in France from a legal, tax and an accounting point of view. I've got the easiest part of the workshop today. I'm Antoine Lebrun. I'm a lawyer at FIDAL, and my job is to introduce the workshop to give you some information about who we are. Today we are two different companies to help you having this legal, tax and accounting point of view. I'm personally working for FIDAL. FIDAL is one of the oldest, maybe the oldest law firm in France. It's been existing for 100 years. We are all around France with 90 offices. The law office of FIDAL in France will be of about 15 lawyers working in corporate law, labor law, tax law, and some people like me will be working in intellectual property and commercial contracts. The thing that we are the most proud of is that about 40% of our customers have been working with us for more than 20 years. And personally, that's the reason why I've been working in this law firm for about 22 years. Today, I'm with Sandra, that is just next to me. She's working specializing in corporate law. And you should see Anaïs Fiquet, who is working in tax law. And I'll let Julien Spagnoli of ACOFI, the accounting firm, give you information about this office. As you can see on this slide, FIDAL is working with subsidiaries such as FIDAL Innovation, which is specializing in patents. And of course, we are also working with partners like ACOFI for accounting matters.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Antoine. Yes, it's very important to work with lawyers. My job is to be a chartered accountant. Yeah, you have to know that it's well. We will explain just a few words later our job, but just some figures regarding our company. So we work for mainly European companies and French companies, since for 45 years. As you can see, we have the first accounting firm on the east of Paris, and we worked with, as already mentioned, European companies and French companies. It's around 3,000 clients, customers, and we are 6 chartered accountants here in our company ACOFI, 6 partners, so on around 100 employees. So we work for young companies, and we help companies to create their companies. With FIDAL, because we have an accounting part, and also, of course, and Sandra will explain that legal choices to do. So it's very important to work together. Sandra, I let you talk about, I don't know, legal topics. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Julian. So good morning to everyone. My name is Sandra. As my colleague Antoine just said, I work for FIDAL, and I am a lawyer, and I work in the corporate law department. So today we will be focusing on the choice of the corporate form when incorporating a company in France. The French legislation on corporate law is mainly contained in the French Commercial Code, and it allows choice between several corporate forms. So today I will briefly present you the main corporate forms that are the most used in practice in France today. So first of all, I will be talking about, as you can see on the PowerPoint, the individual company, or entreprise individuelle in French. So the individual company is a simplified corporate form. It is reserved for local businesses with moderate turnover and expenses. And its creation, it's really simple. There is no minimum share capital required, and the accounting obligations are also limited. A new law was approved in February 2022 and will come into force in May 2022, which modifies the individual company regime. One main change is that the law will now protect the personal assets of the manager by providing that they are automatically separated from the professional assets, which was not the case until now, and which is a great modification. However, there are some disadvantages. There is some financial risk. The law forbids any kind of association under this. I forgot to change the disadvantages. So the first one, it's not the new one because of the new legislation approved. It was the last one, so I will change this presentation before sending it to you. So from the disadvantages, what I was saying is that the law forbids any kind of association under this corporate form, which means that you will not be able to take new partners or investors into the share capital, which can consequently slow down the development of the company. There is also another disadvantages, as this corporate form does not have a share capital. It has less credibility than other companies, which can be an obstacle for the conclusion of certain partnerships and the signing of certain contracts. My colleague Anaïs, she will give you some complementary information concerning the tax regime of the individual company, as well as the other corporate forms that I will be presenting you today. So now I will be talking about the limited liability company, or SARL in French, that stands for Société à responsabilité limitée. This corporate form can be either used by multiple partners or by only one partner. In this last case, we will be talking about EURL, not SARL, but it is one and the same corporate form, and the legal framework that's applicable is the same. So this corporate form is characterized by the fact that there is no minimum share capital required. However, just keep in mind that the amount of the share capital that you will choose, it reflects the involvement of the partners. This company is also characterized by the fact that the liability of the partners is limited to the contributions they made to constitute the company's share capital. This company is also characterized by the rigidity in its management, as the legal framework leaves little opportunity for tailoring the organization of the company at the willing of partners. This can seem a negative point at the very beginning for a lot of our clients, because they cannot do the creative governance that they would like to do in their company, but it can also be a positive point, as it gives, as the law foresees almost everything. So if you forget to foresee some point, you can go to the law and it will be explained most of the time. A very important thing that you need to take into account when choosing between an SARL form, and an SAS form, as I will tell you later, is more than the freedom that is given by the law to choose the governance is you have to take into account the situation of the manager from a social security point of view. So there are two social security systems that I will be talking today about. The first one is the self-employed workers system, and the other one is the general social security system. So concerning the manager of the SARL that holds the majority of the share capital, he or she will be affiliated to the first one, so the self-employed workers system. This system is characterized by the fact that social security contributions due by the company when paying a remuneration to the manager are lower than those due under the general scheme. So an example so that you can see what I'm talking about, for each 100 euros effectively perceived by the manager of remuneration, the company, if it is an SARL and the manager holds the majority of the share capital, the company will have to pay around 145 euros for 100 euros perceived. And this is different than if the manager was affiliated to the general regime, the company would have to pay around 180 euros. So it is a pretty important difference. And this is why a lot of our clients, most of them even, they choose this kind of corporate form when incorporating a company. However, you also need to know that the social protection offered by the self-employed workers social security system is not as good as the protection provided by the general regime. So it is important when choosing a corporate form to keep in mind what is your health situation, as well as your families if you have one, because it really will have an impact on the choice. And finally, you also need to know that under this corporate form, again, if the manager holds the majority of the share capital, contributions will be due even if the manager does not receive any remuneration. And it will be about 2,000 or 3,000 euros per year. Concerning the dividends received by the manager, those will be subjected to the flat tax of 30%, provided that the amount of the distribution does not exceed 10% of the share capital, because the percentage exceeding this 10% will be subject to a higher rate, about 60%. So it is important to keep this in mind when choosing the share capital of your company if you choose the SARL corporate form. So concerning the simplified joint stock company, or SAS in French, which stands for Société par Action Simplifiée, this corporate form, as well as what I said for the SARL, this company can be used either by several partners or with one only partner. In that last case, we will be talking about SASU. Again, it's the same corporate form, it's only the name that changes. So the legal framework applicable, it's also the same. Concerning the characteristics of this company, same as what I said about the SARL, there is no minimum share capital required. The liability of the partners is also limited to their contributions, but an important difference with the SARL is that with the SAS, the law gives a lot of freedom to the partners to organize the functioning of the company. Again, a lot of our clients that choose this corporate form, they don't really use this freedom that is given by the law, because sometimes simple is better, and sometimes organizing the governance in another way can just complexify the functioning of the company, which is not the interest. So concerning the manager of the SAS, it will be subject even if he or she holds the majority or not of the company, will always be affiliated to the general social security system. This means, as I told you before, that there is a higher rate of social charges that the company will have to pay compared to the self-employed worker scheme, which is the one applicable to the SARL with a majority manager. But however, it offers a better social security protection, and no social contributions will be due if no remuneration is taken by the manager. Also, an advantage of this corporate form is that dividends received by the managers will be subject to the flat tax of 30%, regardless of the amount distributed. You really need to keep in mind also that in the general imagination, joint stock companies they prove more seriousness. So you can take for granted that at some point you want an investor to integrate your share capital. The investor will require a joint stock company corporate form before entering the capital. Well, here there is just some statistical data that shows in percentage which corporate forms are the most used in France according to the year. You can take a look at these graphics later if you want to. And I would like to give you some advice if you decide to go on this adventure with several partners. So first of all, the 50-50 ownership is a trap to be avoided, regardless of the legal form chosen. Why? Because it can easily lead to a blocking situation in case of disagreement. And this risk must really be taken into account from the start, because relations can quickly degenerate. Also, in case of multiple partners, the SAS form has significant advantages, as it offers, for example, the possibility of setting up, under certain conditions, profit-sharing mechanisms such as BSPC, BSA, AGA, which are free allocation of shares or some kind of warrants. And those are very interesting mechanisms if you want to retain a particular employee or manager or talent that you consider necessary for the development of your company. With the SAS, you can also have the possibility of creating preferred shares, like, for example, shares with double voting rights. And last but not least, in case of several partners, the conclusion of a partner's agreement is essential. Again, as I was telling you before, even if you do not have the 50-50 ownership, the relations between partners can degenerate and they can lead to a blocking situation. And in that case, you really need to be prepared, because that can be blocking on the pursuit of the company's activity. So this is the role of the main purpose, the purpose of the partners agreement, that seeks to foresee all these blocking situations that can appear between the partners, and it offers from the very beginning a solution in order to unblock the situation without needing to search a new agreement between the partners in a moment where they do not really understand each other, and in that case would be really difficult to find an agreement. So in order to end my presentations, here I led you the steps to incorporate a company in practice. So first of all, you need to choose a corporate form. After that, you start drafting the articles of association and the partners agreement. We can, of course, in FIDAL, assist you and counsel you on these points. After that, you need to, with the draft of the articles of association, you need to go to the bank, open a bank account and deposit the share capital. After that, the bank will deliver you a certificate that will allow you to complete the formalities in order to incorporate your company. Again, we can assess you and assist you in that point. And finally, really important one, you need to keep the company's accounts in accordance with the legal requirements. And for that, you have Julien and ACOFI that can help you doing that. And so I will now give you...
Yes, just few words, Sandra, thank you, regarding the accounting principles. Yeah, okay. As you can see, just three topics. I wanted to insist regarding the financial statement, because in your case, maybe you can consider the financial statements as in other countries. We have, of course, the balance sheet, we have the income statement, and the form is pretty the same that the one you can consider in Italy or in UK countries. Well, it's correct. The balance sheet and the income statement will be almost the same. But here in France, the form of the financial statement will be just a little bit different, because here in France, we have to apply our accounting and accounts code, you know. And if you go to Italy, for instance, or in Germany, in Denmark, you can choose your account code. Here in France, it's not possible. Just to show you our classification, you can see here that when we produce your financial statement, we have to consider this classification. If don't, well, we have a risk, because we have to produce financial statement according to our tax and accounting rules, and this classification has to be applied. And it's the main difference between the other countries and France, because here in France, we'll apply our rules, and in this case, regarding your financial statement, well, we have to consider this classification. We have to produce the bookkeeping using this classification. So this is the main difference, but I wanted to talk about that. Regarding the balance sheet, you will get your assets, you will find your office equipment, your building, the current asset with the bank account. There is, as you can see in your usual financial statement, there is no difference. You will get also, of course, the liabilities with your long-term debt on the debt regarding your receivable on the trade payable detail. So that's the topic regarding the financial statement. I wanted to talk also about the FEC, F-E-C. What is the FEC? The FEC is a document produced through our tax administration. And when we send the financial statement to the tax administration, we send also the document called FEC. It's an extraction from our software. And well, according to the new French regulations, you must be able to transfer your accounting data to the French tax administration using the FEC, Fichier Écriture Comptable in French. And we are able to produce the FEC. We are able to say you what is FEC correct and what is FEC not correct. So it's very important, because if you are not able to produce with your financial statement a correct FEC, the risk is a penalty of 5,000 euros per year. So you have to know that tax administration can control 3 years, so you can deduct that they can claim a penalty of 5,000 euros 3 times, so 15,000 5,000 euros. So it's very important to have a chartered accountant, to have someone who is able to say you what is a white fake. For instance, you have to the bookkeeping must be in French language. You cannot use the English language in the bookkeeping. So, you know, that's an example, but there are a lot of examples regarding the fake. So you have to produce not only the financial statement, but also this file from the software, and we have to control that the file is correct. And it's better, of course, if we produce ourselves this document. Also regarding the third topic, legal auditor and chartered accountant. Here in France, it's not the same. You know, the chartered accountant has to produce the financial statement. My job is to produce your financial statement, as already said and explained by Sandra. But this is my job. I have also the possibility to do another job, the legal auditor. The legal auditor in other countries can be the same as the chartered accountant. Here in France, we have to split the job because the chartered accountant will produce the financial statement, and you maybe will have to work with a legal auditor. And here in France, in some cases, you will have to nominate a legal auditor, and the job of a legal auditor will be to control the work of the chartered accountant and could control the work you will make. For instance, he will do the control of the financial statement, and he will produce a report to say that all is okay, or on the contrary, will insist on the mistakes if you have made mistakes in your financial statement. So, you know, we have two jobs here. My job is not also chartered accountant. I have also a job of legal auditor, but for the same customer, the same company, I cannot do the job as chartered accountant, and legal auditor. We cannot do the two jobs for one company. Here in France, it's very important to understand that, because I'm used to see the process in other countries, and in other countries, very often we can see this job of legal auditor and chartered accountant as the same. So it's very important to consider that. Well, I have said the main topics regarding the accounting principles. Well, the important things to retain is to know that you have to produce this FEC, Fichier Écriture Comptable in French, and it's very important to know that you cannot do the bookkeeping, you cannot produce your financial statement without the help of a chartered accountant here in France, just to be sure that you will not have the risk to send a wrong file to our tax administration. The risk is very important. And well, we also send with this file the tax declaration. So, you know, it's important to be sure that all is made correctly. I will just, well, I will let you, Anaïs, talk about the tax topics. I think the correct page is here. This one. Okay, super. Anaïs, it's okay for you?
Yeah. You all hear me? It's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, hi, I'm working in FIDAL with Antoine and Sandra at the tax department. So we will talk about the tax consequences during the creation of the company. Can you skip to the other?
Yeah.
Thanks. So there is two type of taxation of companies. One is taxation on income. So it's concerned the company concerned by this region are partnerships such as SCI, Société Civile Immobilière, or individual companies. You need to know that the taxation on income is on a progressive tax scale. So, and it is dependent of the social rights of the partners in the company. So, for example, if you have 30% of the company, you will be taxed on the 30% of profit of the companies. So this tax regime is adapted to small companies who are starting their activities, and they have a lot of expenses. So as I say, the taxation is directly at the level of the partners at the progressive tax scale according to their share of social rights in the companies. The corporate tax is the most widespread system and concerns the most common form, as Sandra spoke about, SARL, SAS. It is corporate tax. So the tax is directly paid by the company at the rate of 50% for the first 38,120 euros of profit. Then it's 25% for the profits higher. There is option that you can opt for the taxation on income if you want a corporate tax, depending your form of company. And when you choose if you prefer to be directly taxed on your personal income or at the level of the company, you need to choose with the consideration of your activity and threshold. Sorry, I forgot to say something. In fact, when you are in corporate tax, you need to choose your taxation system, and so it's like micro, real, or simplified real system, and this choose is in discussion with your lawyer according to your activity and threshold. So in France, there is a lot of advantages for startups to encourage companies to invest in innovation and research. But the administration is very careful about this attribution of advantages. So if you want to benefit from these advantages, we recommend that you seek assistance to ensure that you are eligible for it. You can also make a tax claim to make sure. And in FIDAL, we have a dedicated team for that, if you need to. So in France, we have like 3 advantages which can concern you. It's the CIR, Research Tax Credit, the C2I, Innovation Tax Credit, and the status of GEI, the status Young Innovative E-Company. So for the research tax credit, it is for all company tax according to a so-called real system. So as we say, we saw real or simplify. It is for company that have incurred expenses in research and development projects. The expenditure on research and development activities have to be in the European Economic Area, except for expenditure on technology, watch, and patent protection. And for example, expenses eligible is depreciation of assets and building allocated to research, personal expenses for researcher and research technician, and other. And what you need to know it's that this tax credit is a tax credit of 30% of research expenses, and it is 5% of research expenses over 100 million. If you do not use these tax credits within the 3 years, you can ask for a refund at the states, from the states. Sorry. So the innovation tax credit, it is for PME. So it's companies with less than 250 employees, which have an annual turnover under 50 millions, or balance sheet total under 43 millions of euro. It is for project of design of a prototype, realization of a prototype, or pilot installation of a new project, provided that the prototype or the installation respect the following condition. The first one is to present superior performances on the technical level. And the second condition is to present functionalities, ergonomics, or eco-conception compared to products marketed by competitors at the date of the beginning of the work. And so the eligible expenses are expenses for the design of the prototype, expenses for the realization of the prototype, or expenses for the pilot installation of the new product. You need also to know that these expenses can be internal or due to subcontracting and be eligible too. So the tax advantage is a tax credit of 20% of the expenses incurred in the project. There is a limit of 80,000 euros, and the expenses cannot be more than 400,000 per year. So for the status of a young initiative company, it is for all companies that invest in research and development. There is several conditions as to be a PME, be less than 11 years old. Before it was 8 years old, but the financial tax for 2020 expand this status, so it's better. You need also to have your capital held for with 50% by individuals, and the company need to not to have been created within the framework of consultation, restructuring, or etc. So the tax and social benefits from companies created until December 31, 2020 is the possibility of tax exemption for the first year, total exception, and for the next profitable year, you have like 50% exemption. You also have an exception for territorial economic contribution and proprietary tax for 7 years. You can be exempt from capital gains tax on the sale of shares, and the possibility of obtaining an immediate refund of the CRR claim. So the two advantages is you can have the two advantages in the same time. So after you choose your tax regime, you need to choose a VAT regime. So there is 3: micro, real, and VAT free. So you need to know if you choose the basic exemption, VAT will be not charged. So it's good when your customers are individuals, because they do not pay VAT. But in this regime, you cannot deduct VAT. When you choose a simplified real or normal real regime. It depends on your activity and also thresholds. So in fact, the difference between the two, the normal rule and the simplified rule, is one has more reporting obligation than the other. And so it is an evolutive system. So the choice of one on another will be in discussion with your lawyer regarding your activity and the possibility of turnover that you will do. So for the taxation of harmonies due to manager and partners, there is three kinds. Like if we are talking about salaries and wages, there is two possibilities. Either a deduction of 10% for the professional expenses on the salaries, or if you think or you estimate that it's more than 10%, you can deduct actual expenses. If you have dividends, it's like the flat tax that apply. So it's 12.8% of income tax, and you have also 17.2% of social contribution. You need to know if there is you are in a foreign country, or you have a company in a foreign country and who distribute dividends in France, and you are in France, you may be subject to international convention, and so there is it can be apply a withholding tax. And so it's the same for income from movable property. It's the flat tax that apply with the 30%. So that's all for the manager remuneration.
Thank you, Anaïs.
Thank you, Anaïs. There is one thing I would like to point out as regards research tax credit and innovation tax credit, because France has the reputation to provide very good tax credits for innovation, but you must be able, you must keep in mind that you must be able to show from a technical point of view as well that you've got an innovation. It's not only a tax issue, an accounting issue, you also have got to be able to show that there is an innovation that is really a big one. And as regards with FIDAL, we are used to working with engineers on that part, because we know that the administration will systematically monitor this issue.